Hello, hello, brothers and sisters. It's a new week, and we're very happy to welcome you to our show titled Speak of Africa. We have another great show for you today. What are we going to do today? We're going to talk about African problems. On this show, we don't only discuss problems, we also try to raise your awareness on possible solutions. And we're telling most of our people now, please make an effort to comment. This show is a form of discussion. It's a conversation we're holding with you. So don't just sit, listen, and fall asleep. Respond. That's what we want you as an audience, because we want you to participate. So before we begin, we want to say thank you very much to all our supporters. We have another great show for you today, so you're going to benefit a lot, so don't miss it. We have so much to share with you. We discuss African problems. What are the problems? The fundamental problem in Africa, when you watch the news of this week, is the lack of liberty in Africa. The lack of liberty leads to bad governance. With bad governance, the people are unhappy with their lot. They are unhappy with their government. They are unhappy the way the political landscape is structured. They are unhappy with the economy, and they are unhappy with the society. In fact, for the show of today, we're going to draw your attention to the union, the alliance of coup makers in Africa. A lot of coup makers in Africa, when you look at Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Gabon, and Guinea, most of these recent coup makers are really sitting on a hot seat. The international community has been trying to make life difficult for them. So since July, when a lot of the coups started really unfolding like a flu in Africa, the leaders of the juntas have been trying to stem the tide of most of these Western powers who want to kick them out and reinstall illegal democracies. But the question that we really want you to ask is democracy really good for Africa? When I say democracy, I mean Western-style democracy. When you look at the evidence and you look at the news today, it looks like Western democracy is not really working for Africa. One, for the most part, it was imposed on Africans by the West. The democracy is styled along colonialism and imperialism. That's why democracy is not really working in Africa, because it was not intended to serve the needs of Africans. Current democracy in Africa was intended to serve the needs of Europeans. For example, France. Charles de Gaulle created the democracy in Africa to serve French interests. He calls it La France Outre-mer. So which means Africa is a possession of France. France owns Africa. The type of things that Charles de Gaulle could not do in Paris, he decided to do them in foreign soil, which is Africa. So Africa is just like a no man's land, a lawless land, so he can do whatever he pleases. And which is why he made sure that a lot of the African leaders signed cooperation agreement with France. If somebody tries to overthrow you, France would intervene. And Jacques Foccart was really the ringleader who really made sure that Charles de Gaulle's program or expert project of colonialism in Africa worked very, very well. So the last few months, things have been rough in Africa. This week, you could see Abdurrahman Tiani of Niger. He is trying to show up support. He and the leaders of Burkina Faso and Mali have created an alliance since September, and the purpose of this alliance is to show up support among the coup makers. If one country is attacked by a foreign agent, the other countries will come into their aid. So that's really what the message. So you may think that the coup makers want to help the country, but they really want to protect themselves. They want to entrench themselves in power. Take a look at Mali. Assimi Goïta has been sitting there. Before, he was thinking that he would transfer power to civilians in 2024, but he has scrapped that off the agenda. So it's no longer part of the agenda. So presidential succession is no longer part of the agenda. He's been talking about the drafting of a new constitution, but we don't think Assimi Goïta is ready to give up power soon. His country is dealing with a lot of challenges, jihadists in Mali, and sometimes we receive news that, okay, the jihadists have been able to take over some installations. Then the army of Simi Goita will say, oh no, it's not true. It has not happened. So this is a seesaw kind of journey. Up, down, up, down. It is happening. But all of this is because most of these African countries did not really obtain full sovereignty when they became independent. A lot of the countries in the Francophone zone, they went under the tutelage of France. France remains the colonial master, so they just got what we call flag independence. The colonial master still control the affairs of the country politically, socially, and economically. As a result, there's a lot of tension in all these countries in Africa. The people want to be free. Africa has problems because Africa is not free. So Africa needs full sovereignty. And the military coup makers are really using this language, the language of liberty. This is the language they are using to challenge the colonial masters. So it's like when I read Shakespeare's The Tempest, you had a character called Caliban. He's using the master's language to liberate himself from tyranny. This is exactly what is happening now in Africa. Most of the coup makers now are like Caliban. They are using the colonial language and the colonial system to demolish what Charles de Gaulle created in Africa. Even in a country like Nigeria, which you think is not in the Francophone zone, Nigeria does not have full sovereignty. You may not really see England pulling strings, but that's what is happening in Nigeria. England is pulling strings. So Nigeria is not really as free as you think. Nigeria was never a French colony, but you can see French presidents from one after another pulling strings to make sure that Nigeria should not serve the interests of Nigeria, but it should serve the interests of a foreign power. That's what is happening, and that's why there are a lot of problems in Africa. We've looked at the African landscape. Today, we really want to look at solutions. So we've really been talking about an author who is very, very popular. This author has written a lot of books. He's a French engineer. He's a French agronomist. He wrote a lot of books on the African situation. Africa had a false start. How did democracy start in Africa? The experiment did not start on a good foot. It started on a bad foot because the colonial masters wanted to remain entrenched in Africa so that they can steal all the resources of the motherland. As a result, they did not allow Africans to really control their own country. Okay? They did not let it happen. So then why do you blame Africans? Worst of all, the colonial masters recruited the African elite to work for France and Europe. So instead of working for their own country, doing good things for their country, these African elite were working for the benefit of France and the other European powers. This is true today as it has been true a long time ago. The African elite, that's Africa's worst enemy. This elite has to be re-educated. Without this, it will not really happen. And the author I'm really drawing your attention to is called René Dumont. René Dumont is a very famous French journalist. He writes a lot in French. Some of his books have been translated. So if you cannot read French, don't feel bad. When you go to Amazon.com, you'll see some of the books of René Dumont. The most popular one, titled in French, is L'Afrique Noire est mal partie. Translated in English, it means Africa has a false start. Africa is making a false start. Starting with independence, Africa did not really achieve real independence. Real independence means Africa is supposed to be free politically, Africa is supposed to be free economically, and Africa is supposed to be free socially, which is a new construct. Before colonialism, a nation state never existed. So they created a nation state which is like a country with very weak structures. Then they have a capital which dominates the political life, the social life, and the economic life. And all these activities are controlled by the colonial master. So that's just the way the nation state was conceived. You don't need to be an expert in political science to look at the weaknesses of the nation state. The nation state is an anachronism. We have to do away with it. We have to create a total new concept if we want freedom to reign in Africa. If we want good governance to happen in Africa, we have to get rid of the nation state. The nation state is a colonial construct. We need to get rid of it. It's not working. It fuels bad governance and corruption. And that's why we are having all these problems. So the leaders in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have been doing their best. Now you also have the leaders of Gabon and Guinea. Those are two places too where coup d'etats have taken place. What is happening? The lessons we've learned from René Dumont come into play. René Dumont was an agronomist, an engineer, but his message basically is that if Africa is allowed to manage its economy independently, Africans will be better off. But Africans are not better off because the colonial masters decided to create a system that siphons economic resources to the home country. Then Africans are left with almost nothing. A good policy is to implement self-reliance in agriculture. For example, Africa is very fertile. Africa has a lot of food. But a lot of this food is not really intended for Africans. It is siphoned to the colonial host country so that they enjoy while Africans live in misery and while there is famine in Africa. So why is it that in a continent of plenty, there is famine? Those are questions that most people don't understand. So on this show, we are here to educate and let you know that Africa is poor because of the actions of the colonial master. We are not blaming the colonial master alone. We are also blaming the African elite. These are the pseudo-intellectuals. They attended colonial schools. So they have just been trained in the way they can serve the colonial master. So the education that they receive is garbage education. We call it garbage stuff. They may have PhDs, but the PhDs is garbage because it doesn't really represent something that can help Africa. And some of these colonial PhDs, when you look at them, they cannot really help Africans. If I engage them in a debate, they cannot even argue because their PhD is garbage. Okay? And that's the problem Africans are facing. So we need to re-educate most of these African elite who got school in colonial institutions. They themselves boast about it. They talk about the colonial schools they attended as if that's a solution to Africa's problems. Colonial education will never help Africa. Africa needs to change the ways. And this is why we need to look at what René Dumont is saying. We need to look at agriculture, for example. Industrialization. If we can industrialize agriculture in most of these countries, it will really help solve the problem of famine. We don't have to be waiting for Ukraine and Russia to ship grain to Burkina Faso in order for us to have food for our people. We have to learn self-reliance so that we can feed ourselves. We push the colonial master away, then do our thing ourselves. So that's the message we're sharing with you on this show. Liberty. We can start that by looking at ourselves. What can we do? You take a look at Ambazonia today.
Tired of waiting in long lines at the emergency room or your doctor's office? You should be. Why wait in long lines for care? It's time for you to come to Lucille Urgent Care. Real care, no waiting. Lucille Urgent Care, the best place for true and loving care. Service at Lucille Urgent Care is convenient, fast, time efficient, affordable, accessible, transparent, and cost effective. Royal treatment is your right. Indeed, it's not just a privilege or pejorative. Skip the emergency room's long lines, kiss the ER goodbye, say farewell to your old doctor's office, pay less, save time, enjoy the excitement of convenience, receive immediate treatment, get the healthcare you need quickly and affordably. Lucille Urgent Care offers many express services: rapid COVID-19 testing, on-site prescription, preventative lab services, imaging and x-rays, urgent medical treatment for common illnesses and injuries, routine vaccines and flu shots, work-related injury services, pre-employment, occupational, annual, and sports physicals, immigration exams, and much more. Same-day treatment, rapid lab results, extended hours, weekend hours, no appointment necessary, no insurance necessary, no doctor necessary, walk-ins accepted, telemedicine available. We are open 7 days a week with evening and weekend hours. We are located in Maryland, Lucille Urgent Care, 903 Half York Road, Towson, Maryland, 21204. Website, lucilleuc.com. Call at 443-275-1286 or 301-593-4897.
There are a lot of refugees. We're looking at the news. Taraba State in Nigeria has been receiving so many refugees from Ambazonia. What is this happening? It's because there's bad governance. Paul Biya has been in power since 1982. What has he been able to do in the country? Bad governance, corruption, killing, murderous dictators. That's what is happening. You open your mouth, they kill you. So it's really sad. People see people leaving their homes because Biya's army is chasing them. They run away to Nigeria. So many refugees in Taraba. We saw the pictures and we just felt sad. Then even in Nigeria too, a lot of people have been displaced by Boko Haram. This week, we saw stories written by Nigerian journalists telling us Boko Haram is running and the Nigerian Air Force is chasing them, killing their leaders. But we've said it so many times. Killing the leaders of Boko Haram and all these terrorist groups will not solve the problem. Today, as we're talking to you, in the northwest of Nigeria, there have been bandits who have been attacking people in villages, taking their stuff, blaming them for not paying taxes to the bandits. The Nigerian government cannot solve this problem. So we know that this problem cannot be solved just by militarization alone. We sing the song every time on this show. We need a better plan. We need a thoughtful plan. We need new social engineering so that our people can live in peace. Just using guns and chasing bandits is not going to solve the problem. Give jobs to these bandits. Make it unprofitable for criminals to do business. When crime doesn't pay, people will leave crime and start doing legitimate business. And that's the message we're sharing with a lot of the leaders of Africa. If they are not listening, you should at least listen to us, because this is going to create a change. So you look at La République du Cameroon. What's happening? This week, some of you were sending us a lot of stories about Laurent Esso. Some people call him le cœur du pays. He's the heartbeat of the country. He's the Minister of Justice. But this Minister of Justice is the biggest criminal in the country. Instead of maintaining justice in the country, he kills people in cold blood. He's doing what his master Paul Biya wants him to do, so everybody claps for him. He kills with impunity. Look at the story of Martinez Zogo, a popular journalist. The Minister of Justice gave orders for this journalist to be killed. So what has happened to this murder? The mother has gone scot-free. Laurent Esso is still Minister of Justice. Nothing has been done to him. Why? Well, because we hear he's very close to Paul Biya, and he holds so many dirty secrets of Paul Biya. So Paul Biya is even afraid to discipline this individual because he's going to spill the beans. He's going to be talking. So a lot of people will get to know a lot of dirt on Paul Biya. He's going to be exposed. Even the death of Biya's first wife, Jean-Irene. We hear Laurent Esso has a lot of debt on this matter. So Paul Biya is so scared. So why is he not just eliminating Laurent Esso, for God's sake? Why does he let him stay there? Well, it seems as if Laurent Esso has been so faithful to him, so he's one of the pillars of his regime. When you look at even JP, Amugu Belinga, he's one of the boys of Laurent Esso. We hear both of them are homosexuals. You know the story in Cameroon. If you're not a homosexual, you cannot get a high position in government. So we hear JP Amugu Belinga and Laurent Esso are bed partners. So what is he going to do to his spouse? He will do nothing. So they may throw him in jail. He's more like the fall guy. He's not really the guy who really committed the crime. The guy who committed the crime is Laurent Esso. But Laurent Esso is walking free, publicly. The system sent DGRS thugs to go and kill Martinez Zogo. And this hit was ordered by Laurent Esso. But what has happened to Laurent Esso? Nothing. Is justice going to be served? No. So this murder will continue and nobody will do anything to Laurent Esso. Cameroonians know it already and they know that their government is unjust, but they are just watching. So the days of Paul Biya are numbered. So don't be surprised when Paul Biya becomes the next coup victim in Africa. And we're telling you this because we know what is happening in the country. Next, we take you to Congo DRC.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A, Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 240-350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
Congo DRC is struggling to organize presidential elections, and Denis Mukwege, a very popular figure in the country, is also campaigning. We've talked to you about the other people who are campaigning, like Felix Tshisekedi and the other Moise Katumbi. They're all campaigning, okay? But the violence against ordinary citizens continues in Congo DRC. M23 and other rebel groups, they have been popular for so long. It looks like the army of Felix Tshisekedi is unable to dislodge the M23. So when he makes a lot of noise, I'm doing something about it, how many years is it going to take for you to do something about the crime of the M23? So why are you not really putting your resources together to fight Rwanda, Felix Tshisekedi? You just keep talking, I'm doing something about it, I want to run for re-election, vote me this time. That's the problem we face in Congo. At least, we have some good news in Liberia. We have a video to share with you too. Liberia just voted a new president, Joseph Boakai. Mr. George Weah, who has been president, humbly accepted defeat and allowed his opponent to take over power. This is very uncommon in Africa, isn't it? Look at Nigeria. Goodluck Jonathan was able to live peacefully and allow his opponent to take over. Buhari. This is very uncommon in Africa. In Cameroon, for example, La République du Cameroon, Paul Biya has been in power for 82 years. He loses every election, but he rigs it so that he has stayed in power. So the opposition has grown tired. So when people saw this, they were sending me the video of Liberia. Liber. Liberia stands for liberty. At least Liberia has a guy who does not want to create problem in his country. He recognizes that he's just one person. He allows his opponent to take over power while he steps down. This time, we even understand that Paul Biya lost the election against Maurice Kamto. Maurice Kamto was thinking that by appeasing Paul Biya would allow him to take over the country. But it's a lie. Paul Biya wants to stay in power until he dies. So Maurice Kamto and all these opponents are just wasting their time. Eventually, what will happen in Cameroon is a civil war. It is already happening. The people of Ambazonia have declared their independence. They have restored their independence. And the Biya thugs have found it impossible to dislodge them. They kill them, but the guys still rising. They're just like ants and Spartans. They kill them, but they rise and rise and rise. So Biya is really confused. He's squandering all the money of his country to recruit new members of the B and his private army so they can go and fight in Ambazonia. But it's a mistake because the people of Ambazonia are really ready for their freedom. They are fighting every day. The international community is not supporting them, yet they continue fighting. And they will continue fighting. Okay? Next, we take you to Sierra Leone. In Sierra Leone, we understand there has been a prison break. Okay? There's been a prison break. The people are unhappy, even though they have Mada Bio, who used to be in the army and now he's a civilian president. it looks like the people are not happy with the way he's running the country. So when this happened, there was a lot of tension in the country, but we understand calm has returned. Okay? So we want to end the show of today by reminding you that Africa is not free. That's what is creating problems in Africa. And we're asking you to read the books of René Dumont, L'Afrique Noire est ma partie, False Start in Africa. Read the books and engage us in dialogue. Okay, engage us in dialogue and tell us what you think. What do you think can really solve the problem of democracy in Africa? What do you think? Do you have ideas? Then share the ideas with us on this show because we want to hear from you. But before we leave, we want to give you the video of Liberia. Watch it. Bye-bye.
Now more than ever, it is critical that medical facilities utilize modern, reliable electronic health records. Introducing Alexia HTC, the innovative, affordable online solution for physicians and patients. Doctors' visits, diagnoses, prescriptions, and billing have never been easier. With Alexia HTC, you can work more efficiently with the integrated flexibility medical professionals need today. Schedule a live demonstration. Call or visit us at alexiahtc.com.
Do you need tax preparation services? We can help. Contact PJ Tax Service, America's only full-time income tax preparers. Like the good old doctor, we do not close our doors after April 15th. In fact, we stay open all year round in order to serve you. We are located at 11207A, Lockwood Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland, 20901. Make an appointment today with Prince Ojong, your tax expert. Call 240-350-1131 or visit us on the web at www.pjtaxservice.com.
Selling a service or a product? Need buyers? Use the African Nation TV as a channel to reach many viewers. Act now and call Prince Ojong at 240-350-1131. That's 240-350-1131. Act today.